So we're here at Siem Reap, the gateway to Angkor Wat, the largest religious complex in the world. This is the lovely hotel I'm staying at. This is a beautiful staff that we work with. They had no idea there was a camera coming out. So we're going to do something a little bit different today. Today is our second day of exploring the Angkor Wat temple, right? So I walk out on the street and there are tuk-tuk drivers everywhere. But what I did was reserve through the hotel. This is my friend, Mr. Rome.
Yeah, that's friend.
Oh.
Yeah, nice to meet you.
So he toured me around on it's the small tour, the short tour, but that name can be misleading. That's more of a time thing. But the impact of the small tour is incredible. The temples are incredible. Today we're going to do the big tour. How many temples are on the big tour?
5 temples also. Yeah, 5 temples.
Okay. How long does it last?
Take around 3 or 4 hours.
3 or 4 hours. But they said that last time and we were out together for like 7 hours. So we'll see. Let's climb into the tuk-tuk and have a good time. So it's the middle of January in Siem Reap, Cambodia. This is the best time of year to be here because the temperatures are so cool outside. It really only gets up to 31, 32 degrees Celsius. So it's very comfortable. The reason why I want the camera rolling, even just for a minute, is that you can see, I mean, I don't know what I was expecting, but Cambodia is much more developed than I thought it was going to be, or at least much cleaner and quieter. Here's the biggest trip. I came from Vietnam. I've been here for almost a week. I have not heard a single horn honk since I've been here. It's almost like I'm wondering what's wrong. So one of the things to know is that most of this complex, and it's very big, there's over 1,000 structures in the larger Angkor Wat complex, covering a very large area. And much of it is in ruin, as you're going to see while we're talking. There are conservation efforts going on where some of the most storied temples, aided by numerous governments around the world, have been putting pieces back together, and they have poster boards up that show you the before and after. And it's so impressive when you see the before and after, how hard it would have been to put the pieces back together, because I don't know if you can see it in the camera at all, but right, so this started construction in the year 1122, and there's actually a temple that goes back as far as the late 10th century. So this is, I mean, it's very old. The elements of time have just worn it down so much. All the surfaces are smooth, so it would be hard to make sense of how the pieces fit back together if you're trying to do one of these conservation projects. It's very big. So you have 2 tours. You have the small tour and the big tour. And those words, the big and small, have less to do with size or grandeur, but more to do with proximity to Siem Reap or distance from Siem Reap. So the small tour is the closest one. And the big tour, which we're doing today on day 2, you go right through where you did the small tour to the big tour further on. Now, a 1-day pass costs something like $37 US, and then there's a 3-day pass, which is $62, and that's what I bought. And I'm actually really glad that I did that, and here's why. So first of all, some people ride their bicycles doing this tour, but I really wouldn't do it. I wouldn't recommend it. It's like a minimum of 10 kilometers to get to the complex from Siem Reap. So you're already going to be tired, sweaty, hot in the sun by doing that. And I can tell you, right, the hotel arranged my tuk-tuk driver for a price of $15 per day. And that was the lowest price I could find after trying to shop myself independently with at least a dozen other tuk-tuk drivers. I had to take a rest day yesterday. My legs were so tired from all the steps, climbing up these temples. I'm really glad that I got that multi-day pass to rest and emotionally get over the part where, once again, as always, nothing is what it seems. This place actually doesn't look anything like, it doesn't feel anything like what is represented in popular social media and good photography. They're always getting these perfect angles, and it's very big, it's very spread out. You really are working for it. Today is actually a fantastic day where my expectations are grounded in reality. I know what the nature of it is now, and I can appreciate it for what it is, not what I think it's going to be based on what everybody has represented. And today's a really nice day because on this big tour, less people do the big tour because it's further out. It doesn't have the heavy hitters on the list. But this is nice because there's far fewer people on this route. So it's this super chill thing happening today, yeah? So that's what I'd recommend is if you have the time in Siem Reap, get the multi-day, use a tuk-tuk driver. Price tag will probably be best arranged through your hotel. And you know, all of this stuff adds up. It's not cheap to be here. So now I want to point out that at some of these temples, you're going to be graced with some traditional Cambodian music. And all of these people playing have been affected personally. They have been injured by the accidental discovery of unexploded ordnance and anti-personnel mines, which goes back to the United States being in this part of the world. So they have, you know, tip jars out, and maybe we'll go dig in on that a little more and see what kinds of efforts are being done here in Cambodia, specifically in this part, to try to prevent further injury. So, you know, some of these spots you get shade from the trees, but some of them you don't. They've had to clear the trees because the trees are so damaging to the structures, the larger complex itself. In fact, the airport at Siem Reap is only a year old, and I'm told they had to move it. So it's like an hour drive away from Siem Reap because the problem they were having was the vibration, the concussion from the large jets coming in. It wasn't doing them any favors, right? This complex is somewhere in the neighborhood of 1,000 years old, and time is winning the battle. So do come see this. It has this like Tomb Raider feel to it, but understand that it just doesn't look anything like what the posters, the popular representation does. And so that's why I say it's a 3-day pass. There is no 2-day pass. It's a 1-day or a 3-day. Is that this second day, actually, I'm already enjoying this much more because it's just more, it's more laid back. There's fewer people on this trail and expectations that are grounded in more of reality. So. we finished temple number 1 on day 2 of our Angkor Wat adventure. Whoa, my legs are already tired. So we're gonna eat some lok lak, which is a Cambodian. Whew, it's good. So it's very different than the other foods you've had around Southeast Asia. Now, why even talk to you right now? Because check it out. Like, the complex is enormous. And once again, thankfully, you'll never go hungry or thirsty. The tuk-tuk drivers wanted to say hello.
Hello.
These guys work very hard to keep you moving. And they're everywhere. There are more tuk-tuk drivers than there are tuk-tuk drives to be had. But you'll find this spread throughout is these stand-up mom and pop restaurants. And I've eaten a few times actually, you know, over these days of touring, and the food is fantastic. The scenery is just unbeatable. I mean, we've got one of the barrier moats in the background. What's not to like about that? So you can get yourself some electrolyte beverages, some ice cream, sit down in the shade for a minute. So don't worry, there is food everywhere. Don't feel like you have to have a big breakfast before you hit the road, okay? Let's go get some lok lak. You can get yourself the natural electrolyte beverage, the fresh coconut. So I'd already started eating, I'm sorry. But this is a lok lak plate. Now, comes with a fried egg. This time it's fried rice. I normally get steamed rice just because it's healthier that way, but it's so tasty, the fried rice. Okay, and you can get pork, chicken, beef as your protein, sometimes even, you know, a tofu. But here's where the magic happens, right? So that's the seasoning and how they've done the meat is fantastic on its own. But then you go next level where they're gonna give you this little bowl that's salt and Cambodian black pepper, world famous Cambodian black pepper, and a fresh lime. And what you're supposed to do, squeeze that fresh lime into the salt and pepper. The flavor of lok lak, it's wild. I mean, it's pretty strong, but get it on the meat for sure. So simple, yet appropriately complex. This is all man-made, and it's about 1,000 years old. So on this rectangular shaped island is an old Hindu temple with ponds surrounding it that are irrigated from this larger moat, which is impressive enough to see with your normal eyeball. It's probably distorted in the camera, but it's almost 1 kilometer wide and it's 3.5 kilometers long. What's super impressive is that it sat dry for almost 500 years. And just in the last 20 years, did they take the old irrigation canals and kind of clear them out, clean them up, retool them, get them moving again. And now they're somewhere there's a lot of water, but it stays full year round now and supports a whole aquatic ecosystem. I mean, this is like, if anything, how much it speaks to the power of conservation. And when you put the money behind it. What are we doing today?
Today we're going to floating village and spend around 4 hours on the water. Yes.
Yeah, today we are going to the floating village.
Where is the floating village?
The floating village is this is my hometown. I really miss my parents or other people at here.
How much did we pay for the tickets to do the tour today?
For me, it's free.
Me too, it's free.
So it's free for them because they work at the hotel I'm staying at, and the hotel sent them along as my personal security detail. They are my bodyguards today, keeping me safe. I'm just kidding, that's not true at all. They're here because the hotel wants them to learn every step of what happens, that they can clearly answer questions for the clientele right? Would you
Yes.
agree with that? It's for
Yes.
it's for educational and instructional purposes that they're here. But it's great that we got to tag along together on this adventure. Okay, so the ticket for me was $18. But if you want to go out into the small boat in through the mangrove forest, you have to pay an extra $6 per person. Otherwise, you just sit here and wait. It's a catch-22 for me because I'm sticking with the girls from the hotel that we've kind of been assigned to each other. They came out on this trip with me because I was moving here. And so they can't afford to do it, so I stick with them, or I pay for all three of us to go, which is... So what? I mean, we're hanging off the nose of the boat. We were a little bit frustrated, huh? That we would have had to pay extra to go out into the mangrove forest. So we didn't go. We're hanging out in the middle of...
It's called Tonle Sap Lake.
Tonle Sap Lake. Now, we're watching the sunset, and it's actually quite beautiful out here. So we passed through the floating villages on the river on the route out here. So there's some redemption. We had a great time on the docks, eating some fruit plates, making new friends with these folks here. It's been a pretty good day. Yeah? They're very shy.